I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of June 9, 2025. Sandy, please call the roll.
Hill.
Here.
Gerhardstein.
Here.
Jaworski.
Here.
Kowski. Here. Levon.
Here.
Saloto.
Excused.
Thielman.
Here.
Approval of council minutes. Councilman Gerhardstein.
Make a motion, we approve the council minutes from May 19th, 2025.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Bailout, that the council meeting minutes of May 19th, 2025 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski. Yes. Levon.
Yes.
Saloto. Excuse. Thielman.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Summer in full swing. Pools and Spray Park are open at this time. First concerts begin. This is concert week. We have our first concert at Gindra Tuesday. That's tomorrow, and that will be from 6 to 8. And I'll have all the stuff. Funkology is the band. And then Friday, the Colby concert series started up here. That is 7 to 10 with the band Intense. The next movie night will be June 20th at Colby, and everything pre-activities begin at 7 p.m. The movie Inside Out 2 will begin at dusk. So there is legislation, House Bill 533, that was just introduced in the House that would end inside millage property tax collection on January 1st of 2026. This would eliminate approximately 25% of the real estate taxes we receive, affecting police and fire pension and capital improvements. I have signed a letter that I am sending to Representative Troy and Senator Serino opposing this bill. And I would like to suggest that council do the same. Sandy has a letter drawn up for council's signature, so we could send that to them. An update on OLA, Online Liquidators, down at the old Palisade Palace. Spoke with the guy in charge on Friday. He wishes he could open sooner. One of the final steps is repaving that whole parking lot and the road leading down there. Tried to get the contractors to come in June, but they are coming in July, and he said that they will open before August. So I wanted to give that information out there. And then lastly, I would like to add fencing at the detention pond at Laredo Development, property to new business.
We'll do that when we get to amendments and additions to the agenda, please. Okay. Any questions or comments from the Mayor, Safety Director? Thanks, Mayor. Reports and communications from the Director of Law.
Nothing to report, Council President.
Any questions or comments from the Law Director? Thank you, Jeremy. Communications from Council President. I have none. Amendments or additions to the agenda. Mayor.
Under new business, please, if you would add fencing at the detention pond for Laredo Development.
All right, we will add new business C, fencing and detention pond at the Laredo Development. Any other amendments or additions to the agenda? Councilman Gerhardstein.
I'd like to add short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals as new business D. Councilwoman Kowski.
I would like to discuss council attendance.
Council attendance as new business E. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to administrators. Police Chief Bush.
Thank you, Council President Levon. Other than the report that was submitted to you guys, I would just like to speak briefly on the Next Gen 911 committee that they should have sent you guys all packets regarding Next Gen 911. There's going to be legislation at the next meeting where they're going to ask you to vote on a resolution supporting what they have come up with on that plan. I am in complete deference to this plan because the main thing that they made a change to is they are requiring that our dispatch center have a minimum of 2 dispatchers working at all times. If that happens, it's gonna cost the city, I'm gonna have to hire more dispatchers, and I'm gonna have to pay more overtime, and I'm gonna have to train more people. The state of Ohio determined that one dispatcher was sufficient for a dispatch center, but Lake County is the only county that I'm aware of in the state of Ohio that is requiring this 2 dispatcher minimum, which is against the better interest of the city. I mean, it's gonna cost us money when it's not needed. We have 2 dispatchers working the majority of the time. There are times we only have 1 dispatcher. Mainly that's late night hours, like after 3 a.m. Their retort to that was, we'll just hire more part-timers. Well, good luck having somebody come in at 3 in the morning and work 4 hours. I don't think I'll be able to find that person to do that, because those are pretty crappy hours that somebody's gonna wanna work. And there are other hours that if somebody's on vacation that it doesn't get covered by overtime, they work with 1 dispatcher. We get by just fine. They don't think we will when we convert to the next gen 911, which I don't know if you're aware of it. Next gen 911 is cell phone calls. Right now, all cell phone calls go through Lake County Dispatch. They answer them. They find out where the call's coming from, then they'll transfer that to us by a push of a button, and then we'll handle that call that way. When Next Gen 911 goes active, we will be taking all those, they'll go straight to Wickliffe. So it'll bypass the county. There is funding attached to this, which I find interesting. When that happens, Wickliffe will get the funding and not Lake County, as will all the other municipalities. So Lake County will be losing out some money on this when this goes to effect. This will not go into effect until, for the entire county, we're not sure. The state of Ohio is not even ready to go on this. Wickliffe is ready to go, except for we're waiting on some upgraded equipment, which we've already paid for. Once that's in place, we're ready to go. We're 1 step ahead, pretty much all dispatch centers in Lake County right now.
Any questions or comments? Councilwoman Kowski.
So I'm guessing the amount of funding coming in from this would not cover a second?
No, it'll be, I don't wanna say minimum or minimal, it'll probably be between $30,000 and $35,000 a year, would be Wickliffe's portion. I was told that Lake County brings in about $500,000 a year from the state for 911, and they keep all of that right now because they're doing the answering of the cell phones and the transferring. But when this goes active, we'll be handling that, so they're not entitled to that money.
Councilman Garstein.
Chief, under whose authority do they have the right to say, if they're not paying the employees, under whose authority do they have to mandate that the city has to have 2 dispatchers per shift?
I guess the state of Ohio granted them that when they put them on, enacted this law to make this committee. So there's 6 people on this committee.
Well, that's my follow-up question. This committee looks a lot like the committee that revamped the local government fund that took a couple $100,000 out of our budget already. So these look like a lot of the same names that were on that committee also. So I find it ironic that it's the same committee now telling us that we have to have 2 dispatchers when, if am I mistaken, those look like the same committee.
I was not part of that.
Well, that's okay,
to
but I
label
mean, they
who's
took
on
a
that
couple
committee.
$100,000 from the local government fund.
I know that happened.
Right, and so now they're mandating that we have to hire and they're not willing to pay for the employees, but they're gonna mandate the city does.
Correct.
Thanks, Chief.
Councilman Jaworski.
Chief, just out of curiosity, how many calls is that gonna be that we're getting on the cell phones?
That's a little foggy also because they have not been able to tell us how many 911 calls. They tell us they only forward the call, the important ones. They're screening them for us. So I don't know how many they're actually taking. We as a group of chiefs earlier in the year went out to Erie County, Pennsylvania, who currently has Next Gen 911. Their county's been active in this for over a year now. And they told us it actually runs smoother now, that they did not have an uptake of calls coming through or anything like that, and things run smoother, not harder for them.
Is it based on triangulation, where in other words, where a person is within?
Correct,
it's
yeah,
not
it
based
all
on-
goes by GPS off your cell phone, and that'll determine where the 911 call goes to. It'll be the city would be geo-fenced. We're working with Wilwick right now to come up with a plan where we're gonna kind of combine dispatch centers if we have to go forward with this. Because when you guys vote on this, it has to pass by 60% of population for this to go into effect. You know, Wickliffe's population is not anything compared to Menor or the two townships, so I don't know. I know East Lake and Willowick are against this also because they're in the same boat as we are, and so is Menor on the Lake. They're all getting a hit from this. So I don't know whether it'll do any good if they'll have enough of the 60% with that vote to where it won't matter. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
Well, I don't care how they vote, I'm not supporting this. If you're if you're recommending voting against it, I'm with you, chief.
All the
My
chiefs
bad.
of police involved in this are completely against this. Yeah, I mean, it's just not feasible for the cities. I mean, they're costing us a lot of money that's not needed. I would have to hire, if I have to hire full-time dispatchers, it'll work, I'll get those two covered, but then sometimes there'll be 3 dispatchers working a lot of the time, where one will just be sitting there, you know, I'm staring at the phone that's not gonna ring.
Good way to lose people.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments for the police chief? Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief Grossman.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to add to my written report.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Councilman Gerhardstein.
Chief, is the stop work order been lifted on the Sunset Development Corporation?
It is not yet. They made significant progress last week. I was expecting a call today that they had completed what they needed to, and I did not get it. So we're, at this point, I believe, waiting on Lake County Water. They're the ones with the final approval that will turn the water on, which will fulfill their requirements, and they'll be good to go then. So,
Just so I understand, so you're saying Lake County Water is one of the reasons why they're shut down?
the fire main needs to be turned on, and Lake County Water handles the final testing. They have to sterilize, they have to do different procedures before they'll turn the main water on to that line. So right now the line is full of water, it is under pressure, but it is not, it is shut off from a supply from a main line, so ineffective for our use. So as soon as they've met their qualifications through Lake County Water, they'll turn the water on, and then we will be good to go. They've completed the access road, and that was the other stipulation.
Any further questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief. Finance Director Hunter.
Thank you, Council President. May is now closed and the general fund carryover balance is about 7.6 million.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Engineer Formica is excused. Service Director Krofcheck.
Thank you, Council President Levon. I just have one thing to add. I want to recognize one of our service employees, Mike Palliot, in supporting the Special Olympics torch run this morning on Euclid Avenue. Everyone wants to thank him for his dedication. That's all I got.
Any questions or comments for the Service Director? Councilman Jaworski.
I received a couple phone calls over the weekend asking about potholes and how you know, are you guys going to get into their streets or not? How are you guys doing with the potholes on the side streets?
We had been working on, we'll do like a day, you know, we're trying to do Rockefeller first, because my plan is to try to get these streets that need, like the mains that need striped, so we can have the street striping earlier than normal, because we haven't had it until like September. So trying to get to those, but we've had days where 1 hour we did like we call throw and go. So we just like grab like 3 tons, and we've done Weber, Norman, and like over by that side, west side of Lloyd so far. And when holes come out, we do, you know, people say something, we go out and grab them.
Is it you're getting the worst streets first at this point in time when it comes to the side streets, or just whatever happens to be where you're at?
Like we did a lot of work on Harrison too. So like I said, we're like our emphasis right now is like on Rockefeller, and then, you know, getting the potholes, like if they are called in or if we see them that need to be addressed. Is there anything in particular that?
Well, I guess I was trying to figure out in my mind right now, based on what you're telling me, when do you expect to be done with the mains and start focusing on the sides?
We should be hopefully done with Rockefeller by the end of this week. And of course, obviously weather again hit us and everything else, so like and hopefully move up from there. Want to get Rockefeller finished.
Okay. And then residents, when they see the potholes, should just call the service department?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilman Bella?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I have had a couple comments, good comments about the playing fields, baseball fields at Ginger and Colby and everything. So whoever's doing the fields, I guess they're doing an exceptional job. I think his name's Jim McClure.
Jim McClure, yes.
Yeah, people are, says best they ever seen in years. So I'll mention his name.
I'll
So.
let him know.
Councilman Garrison?
Dave, I have a couple questions for you. When the streets are repaved, who's responsible for putting the crosswalks back in and the stop bars, for the stop signs?
You're talking like for the.
For the, like last year down
Last
on
year?
Richard Court, Gary Court, Robert West, who's responsible for putting the crosswalks back in?
I'm gonna have to look at that and see if that was in the bid for that, for especially for those streets.
Because I wasn't sure if that was in the contract and they were supposed to repaint those. Because as of today, they're still not done.
Yeah.
So,
We're
and-
actually going out and doing our own, that, we go out and do them, so
Well-
we've already started over here in the center section.
and I understand that when you're doing those, but on the construction, I wasn't sure who was supposed to put them back.
I'll have to take a look at that.
My second question is just to you, I don't know if you know or if you're on the email, Council President Levon and myself have been trying to get the county to come back and fix some of those water. You supplied the list of the holes in the streets for the water department. Now I see the water department has, shut down our development too. But Council President Levon and myself have been trying to get the guardrails repaired, and the water fixed. So I don't know if you're on that chain, so we've been working on it for the last couple of weeks, trying to see if we can get them to come out and pay a little attention to the holes that are in the streets from the water department.
Yeah, Matt from the East End, he's the foreman for the concrete crew for the water department, he spoke to me today about, like I said, they did one on Mapledale concrete finish, majority of they are concrete finish. So he's having an issue with, obviously, the weather is, is what he's telling me, to get the concrete finish, for the asphalt part of it, he kinda said, he goes, I'm sorry, he's like, we will get there, and just, that's the answer I get almost every single time.
Well, we barely get a response from the county. So if you got a response, that's better than we've been getting.
Yeah. It was Randy Roethlisberger is the main guy at the water department for like that kind of stuff, so he made sure that Matt called him this morning after the email thread has gone out.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Mayor?
Just to piggyback off that, I got a call last week from Commissioner Plechnik. Told me that should be working itself out, that he's raised a little bit of a ruckus for the water main. But the next one with me is the guardrail in front of Lubrizol. So he was kind of, got a little upset with the county engineer, saying, listen, you knew what you were coming into. Wickliffe better be a priority. He says, I buy them in bulk and then I go, we get it at a lower rate. And he said, well, make sure Wickliffe is at the top of the list. It's in front of a Fortune 500 company. It's unacceptable. It's been there a long time. And also, he said that, the engineer said, these police departments need to go after these people that are hitting the guardrails. We do, but a lot of times these guys who hit the guardrails, they leave. They're not gonna stop at the police department and say, I just drilled your guardrail drinking.
So I'll follow up with that, Council President Levon. We got an email today that stated from the county engineer that the guardrail at Lubrizol, believe it or not, is so recent that they have not been able to obtain a police report to go after their reimbursement. So they said they were going to come back out and work on Route 2, but the guardrail at Lloyd Road was not on their list to do because it was so recent that they have yet to receive a police report for reimbursement.
So the police report, that's if somebody hits it, you're there for an accident.
When we
If
get the
someone
report.
hits it, you don't know, they just leave the scene, how they get reimbursement, right? So that's,
I'm trying to explain. We've been trying for weeks. They won't barely respond to an email.
We can add your email chain. I just got that today.
and Plechnik said when he told the county engineer that we better be at the top of the list, he said he would check. And so that's telling me that we're not at the top of the list, so I'll make more phone calls this week. It's almost unacceptable because it's not recent, right?
It's not recent.
Huh, right?
No.
Right, and how many, we put in a couple orders for this,
I put one in about 4 or 5 months ago,
so.
and that was after the fact that it happened.
Commissioner Plastic is the first one to email back, and he copied the engineer who did give us that response.
Right.
So
We got that
at least
response
we got a
today.
response from Mr. Plastic. Councilman Jaworski?
I know I've had the conversation with you two, but just to state the opposite, this is a significant safety concern, because without that guardrail, if someone blows by there could be a very serious, potentially deadly, fatal accident.
Yeah, we'll follow up with that.
So,
Mayor, go ahead.
to that point is, I've told Dave, I said, why don't you look price out, we do it, and then bill it, right? But that could be a safety concern on our end, because we've spoke about it in the past. But, right, so I want it like fixed ASAP, whoever does it, and then file for reimbursement, because we pay our money to that county when they ask for it. And it seems like we're not getting taken care of on the other end, so.
Sure. Councilman Gerhardt?
Councilman Jaworski, to your remark, we had put that in our email, that it was a safety concern for exactly what you just mentioned. So we've made them aware of how dangerous that intersection was.
Not to mention, we offered to fix as much as we could, the road issues caused by the water main breaks and asked them to reimburse us, but they still won't have a conversation with us about that as well. So, that's still, we waited 2 weeks to finally get a reply back from them after multiple requests, so we're getting somewhere, we hope.
All right, good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Dave. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just want to let the council know the 3 new homes they're putting the sewers in, digging the foundations. They'll probably be all 3 foundations in probably by the end of the week. And it's rolling real good. They're keeping the street nice and clean for us, and they blocked off the sidewalk a little bit, cloned it off where they put the aprons in. So, and that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the building commissioner? Councilman Hartstein.
Sorry, Ray. On your report, I noticed on the gaming licenses, are both of the gaming facilities up to date on their
Yes.
gaming fee and their machine fees?
The annual fee, the one came in right on time. The next one came the day after, and we closed that month out. That's why it's not showing the other 5,000 on there.
Okay, thank you.
It's just, when Patty closes out the date, she just goes there, and then when it comes in the next day, we put in the next one. So
All
it'll
right.
show up next one.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the building commissioner? Thank you, Ray. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. The mayor did steal some of my thunder, so that's all right. The Recreation Department is in full swing, and we celebrated our 20th annual Green Ridge Golf Outing this past Saturday. Great morning, good day. We had 44 paid spots for the outing. Summer camp started today. We were dodging raindrops, but we got that in. We're still a couple guards short, full-time guards for our guarding situation. We have a lot of subs and part-timers, so it's a little hard to make the schedule full with those situations. And just to reiterate, the concerts tomorrow night down at the Senior Center and Colby on Friday. That's it.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Councilman Jaworski.
Tim, based on what you just said about still being short of full-time lifeguards, will this be leading to altered pull hours as the summer progresses, or?
More so lazy river status, because that's when it takes a good chunk of guards, so we kind of have to play that day by day. If we have kids who are calling off and we can't get a sub, that's kind of the first thing that goes is the lazy river, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you, Tim. I'll now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address Wickliffe City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. These meetings are being recorded, so she has a microphone that has to be used. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Sir, go ahead, stand. Hey, can you grab the microphone?
Yeah, my name is Terry Lazar. I have a business at 330 Lakeland Boulevard, and we're in the process of building a new building, in Wickliffe on Lakeland Boulevard, down by Lloyd and Lakeland Boulevard. And I applied for a tax abatement for building the property, and I think back in March. And I was wondering, I guess it's supposed to come out of committee to be voted on or whatever, and I just wanted to know if there was any status on that.
We haven't even discussed
This
it.
this is being discussed tonight, actually. The CRAs for Stanley Steamer and for Premier
Oh,
Development.
the new business B?
Yeah.
Okay. We have not discussed it at all yet. Apparently it's on the agenda for tonight now.
Well, the only reason I asked is because I was told we can't start building. If we start building, then we have not a shot for abatement. And we're getting real close to get the financing and stuff. And it's been, let's see, almost 2.5 months. And I was wondering. Anyway, that's my comment.
Okay, we'll address it today.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'm audience participation closed. Any committee reports? Commission reports, Councilman Hartstein?
The Board of Zoning Appeals met on May 22nd, 2025. The meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. The purpose was case number 2025-104. On May 8th, 2025, Matt Riley of Ryan Homes had made application for a variance in lot coverage to allow construction of a new residential dwelling located at 1805 Lincoln Road in an RI 60 residential district. Chapter 1309.31, paragraph C, schedule of area, yard height regulation states in part, the percentage of lot coverage by buildings as set forth in the schedule shall not exceed the area of the building divided by the area of the lot. The maximum coverage would have been 1,680 square feet. The requested variance was 297 square feet, which equaled a 17.74% variance. Matt Riley explained to the board it is going to be a ranch home which required more lot coverage. The board had no objections. The board granted the 17.74% variance as requested. The meeting adjourned at 7:10. Respectfully submitted.
Any other commission reports? Councilman Jaworski.
On June 5th, both the Architectural Review Board and Planning Commission met to discuss a request for parking plan approval to allow construction of addition located at 1470 East 289th Street in an industrial district, and both were approved.
Any other commission reports? Seeing no old business, we're going to new business. New business A, liquor license transfer for Legends Bar and LLC. Do you hear it's a new liquor license or a transfer for Legends Bar and Lounge LLC, DBA Grumpy's Lounge, 29137 Euclid Avenue, first floor, Wickliffe, Ohio 44192. If the council person of that ward has any objection, please notify the council clerk. Move on to new business B, CRA tax abatements. Mayor.
So Premier Development has submitted an application for CRA tax abatement consideration, and Stanley Steamer has submitted an application as well, and I would like that these be put in the appropriate committee for discussion.
Okay, we'll put them into the committee of the whole. Anything else on that subject? Not more new business C, fencing and detention pond at Laredo Development.
Okay, so I received a phone call from a resident and from the fire chief on, so the pond over at Laredo's development, the old school village. So the concern was that it was 6 or 7 feet from the edge of the parking lot of the library. And that, did a fence have to go up or something should be there to prevent, it was like, right now with no water in it, was like a 20-foot drop, would you say, from the side of that? So I called Pete, we had a discussion, we read on page 42 of 62 for the planning commission, Councilman Jaworski did bring that up. And then Laredo stated that they never put a fence around the pond with his developments, and that when he was a kid up at Colby Park, everybody running around and stuff, there was no fence there. So, and then it was just the topic switch, so there was no requirement for a fence. So I spoke a little bit with Laredo, and I'm like, listen, to me, a little bit of a safety issue, but I get it. So I talked with Robin Bartley of the library. So there was a discussion between Laredo's son and her after one of the planning commission meetings, and the library is going to put a fence up in the fall. It's gonna go around the perimeter of the library. It's gonna be a very nice fence, but they can't do it till the fall. So I called Laredo back, explained all this, and they said, all right, here's what we'll do. He goes, even though we're not required, we'll put up a temporary fence until the fall, and it's not gonna be like a snow fence. It's gonna be a nice 5-foot chain link fence that's going to black fence, I believe, and that's going up this week. So kind of really, is it an issue? I mean, it's on the edge, but so it's getting addressed. I just wanted all of you guys to know this in case there was any calls. That right now there's no fence. There's a couple boulders up there preventing cars, but the boulders are kind of small. But it is gonna get handled, and the fence is going up sometime this week.
Councilman Jaworski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was something that I did bring up. I thought it was a safety issue, and members of the planning commission just felt otherwise.
Councilman Gerhardstein?
Mayor, is the concern for cars coming out of the parking lot at the library, or what was the concern of the drive?
Kids being around the library and that being close and being curious and wanting to go over by that area. That's what the concern was from the resident, but the concern from,
My concern was just the grade, the steep grade, and there was water in the bottom, which could pose a hazard. It's clay, it's not finished grass, it'd be difficult for anybody, even an adult, to get back up. And I felt that with the library having all of their summer programs, I know that we go there and help them with their babysitter program, that they go outside in that back area, and it's just not an open playground area like it used to be with the school there, that some type of protection should be along that back. It's just until they figure out water level, till grade, I would prefer permanent. At the planning commission that Councilman Jaworski spoke at, I remember that coming up, and in my mind, when you talk about a quaint pond, it's a nice easy edge, this is, stop by, it's a cliff going down into it, and that's for designed, weeds and all that stuff, but I just think when you look at it, it kind of harks that safety needs to be considered, so.
I just wanted some clarification,
Yeah.
thank you.
stop and check it out, though. I went there and it was a little bit steep, especially with no water in it right now, so.
Anything else on that topic? If not, move on to new business D, short-term rentals. Councilman Gerhardstein?
I was not sure if a council was aware of that Mayfield Heights and now Eastlake has passed ordinances prohibiting short-term rentals, Airbnbs in their city. And I didn't know if council wanted to discuss that. I had spoke to the chief and he said he only knows there's one so far that is in the city. There are complaints every now and then for the noise, and now that Eastlake has got out of Mayfield Heights, I have Mayfield Heights' ordinance here that they passed. So I didn't know if council wanted to try to look into that before it got out of hand, or if we want to do something preemptive. I just wanted to bring it to council's attention.
Building Commissioner Sack?
I've sent probably 5 or 6 cease and desist orders on these short-term rentals. And, because I've had complaints on it, and I would fully support anything, legislation that you could put on the books for that.
What protects us now? There's something.
Well, I'm going by the occupancy permit, so that's kind of like where I'm hanging my hat on, and sending them cease and desist, because if you get an occupancy permit for that home, it's just for a regular family, not to change hands every week. So, I would fully support the council. That would be very good for us.
Lastly, we have a meeting this week, myself, the law director, and building commissioner, with this gentleman who's Wickliffe resident. I believe he's moving. He's considering running for Congress. But his concern, and I'm sure you guys have all seen this on social media, about rental properties, purchasing houses for triple the value and then raising rent. I don't know, so we're gonna meet with them. He asked about proposing legislation to you guys, and so I'm curious to see what this legislation, and then if it's something that needs to come to this table for an investment. It's kind of similar along those lines, because when these rental companies buy these houses, they try to turn around and rent them.
Councilman Jaworski?
This is something that Jeremy, I think we've talked about a number of times, where it's, these corporations are essentially trying to get into the housing business and trying to make a startling profit off just, they're not allowing communities to thrive anymore. It's becoming a business for them to rent homes. And they're sucking up all the available housing.
But the flip side of this is, how do you tell a resident, what they can sell their house for, because they're paying like crazy, right? So that's kind of the fine line that's being drawn here.
Councilman Hartstein?
Mayfield Heights uses 30 days as their short, you cannot reside in a home for less than 30 days as a short-term rental. So that's where they, instead of renting for a week for a party, their states that you have to rent longer than 30 days. And what they consider.
Councilor, have you reviewed their ordinance?
Yes, I have.
Any issues with it?
No, I don't have any issues with it at all, but.
If we put it in a committee, then everybody can look at it and discuss
Sure.
it?
In fact, I'll get copies. I'll talk to Sandy and we'll have it emailed to everybody so they can look at it.
Okay. All right, we'll put short-term rentals, we'll put it into the committee of the whole. Okay, any other discussion on that? If not, we'll go on to new business E, council attendance. Councilwoman Kowski?
I've had 4 different residents come up to me, call me, email me, inquiring of whether the council has an attendance policy and whether it includes pay, as to whether if you miss so many meetings, do you still get your pay, like if you're at a regular job, if you miss so many meetings, if you miss so much work, you get, I don't know, like your pay gets docked, or you don't get paid, or something, and they were just questioning it because they watch the YouTube of our meetings. I had one talk to me the night of the State of the City, and I just would like to be able to answer their their concerns and.
Sure. I mean, the attendance thing, or the question on the attendance, is also in the charter. I believe there's something on there that can be brought up. But this is a salary position, and in any salary position, you are paid even if you aren't in attendance. So, I mean, that's drawn up in the charter as well, about being a salary position.
They just felt that it was not a fair to them as a resident paying for excessive absences.
Understood. But as a salary position, if there's any changes, it'd have to be a charter change, right? I mean, they'd have to go out to the voters to change. So, as of right now, it's currently a salary position.
Yeah, that's what I told them.
Yeah, I don't know of any other way to discuss that. I mean, it is what it is. Councilman Jaworski?
And it's not excused absences. The charter, I believe, is three consecutive unexcused absences in particular.
I believe you are correct.
And then council would have the ability, should they so choose, to remove that individual from the body.
But they have to be unexcused.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that topic? Okay, we'll move on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 2025-24, this is the third reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio to enter into a contract with Verdantis LLC for the purpose of professional consulting services, city engineer.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilman Bella to adopt ordinance 2025-24 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Bella.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance number 2025-25, an ordinance establishing the receiving of adult use cannabis funds, and this is also the third reading.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Bella to adopt ordinance 2025-25 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Bella.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance number 2025-27, this is the second reading, an ordinance amending section 1521.99, penalty of chapter 1521, open burning of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2025-28 amended, this is also the second reading, an ordinance amending sections of chapter 1323 fences of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio.
Councilman Gerhardstein?
Yeah, I just want to clarify the amended part on that ordinance from the last meeting where the residents spoke about the gates being on both the old fence and the new fence. I just like for clarification that that's what amended in this ordinance, that the gate is only have to be on the new fence that's
Correct.
installed.
Correct.
I just wanted that, so if they're watching, they understand that we did amend the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2025-29, this is also the second reading. An ordinance amending section 171.01 bonds of chapter 171 employment provisions of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2025-30, also second reading. An ordinance amending the city of Wickliffe zone map referred to in section 1341.80 of the Wickliffe codified ordinances, rezoning one parcel owned by Loretto Davis Lincoln LLC in Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2025-31, also the second reading. An ordinance levying assessments for unpaid delinquent sewer amounts upon parcels of land in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2025-32, this is the first reading. An ordinance enacting section 533.17, sex offender residency prohibition in chapter 533, obscenity and sex offenses of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio.
Seeing no resolution, move on to other legislation. Miscellaneous, Mayor.
I forgot to mention that the 5-year capital plan has been completed. And if it's possible to have the committee meeting on June 16th, so you guys can decide. I know there was discussion about the ladder truck.
Okay, we'll add 5-year capital plan to the finance committee. I had said we're gonna put the Premier Development and Stanley Steamer CRAs in the committee of the whole. That is not what I wanna do. We already have a Stanley Steamer CRA in the committee, or in the finance committee. So we're gonna put the Premier Development CRA into the finance committee as well. Then I'll call for a finance committee for Monday, June 16th at 7 p.m. to discuss the Stanley Steamer CRA, the Premier Development CRA, and the 5-year capital plan, as well as the committee of the whole to discuss the short-term rentals meeting. Any other miscellaneous? Want to remind everybody, I know we are going to meet next week now, but on June 23rd, we do have a 2026 tax budget public hearing before that meeting as well, just to remind everybody about that. I believe it's at 6:45. Okay? Any other miscellaneous? If not, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Bella.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
To the tax budget.